So I was a gamer when I was little. It was the first creative seed that was planted. The spark started to ignite, and I was inspired by technology. I used to play Super Mario Brothers and Miss Pac-Man with my brother. In fact, we used to fight over the Nintendo. And I still love it. All right. As I got older, I realized that gaming is STEM, and very creative, by the way. Now back to me. In 1988, I saw the movie Big with Tom Hanks, and it changed my life. Another creative seed was planted. I was super passionate about making a difference with toys and playing with toys, and super excited that I found my dream job. An informational interview led me to my passion and persuade my future boss to give my dream job. I worked at Mattel, another planted seed, and then I worked on Bratz. By the way, you might have heard or know that Barbie is pink and Bratz is purple. That was another creative seed. But as the years went by, I lost my passion. A coincidence and my mom led me to Dept. I didn't know who he was at the time. I ran up to him and I asked him, "What do you do when you get your dream?" Because I don't know what to do with myself. He said, "Give back." Another creative seed was planted. I was very confused at the time because I had been the president of a nonprofit organization. I donated money to charity. "What do you mean, give back?" I said. "Can you tell me, give back to who, what, where? Another word, please." No, trust me, you'll figure it out. Okay. A couple years later, I ran into Simon Sinek again. I realized I met him a few years earlier at a business conference. He wrote this book called Start With Why. And he looked at me and he said, "What is your purpose and why?" I told him I was losing my passion, but another seed was planted. So my journey on the yellow brick road begins, where I had to have faith, still do every day. And I started to connect all the creative seeds, dots, and sparks. I was literally doing this blindly as I moved forward every day. You might have heard Steve Jobs talking about connecting the dots in hindsight. Well, I didn't have the time or patience for that. I realized that creativity is a journey and not a destination, and that searching for my mission and meaning led me to creative expression in gaming and technology. Creativity flows when you do something you're passionate about. There's limitless creative power when you use your imagination, no matter how old you are. You're born with it. You have a gift. You have the power to transform everything with your imagination. Creativity is in our DNA. Innovation comes when you let it flow. You just have to be very present in the moment to see it clearly. The messages were loud and clear, every single day. And I realized I had to give back to inspire women and girls with technology, just as I was inspired as a young child. I had the courage to ask a very successful game designer how he started creative projects. The first thing he asks me is, "Are you a gardener?" I looked at him like, "What do you mean? I'm talking about creative projects." No, you have to plant the seeds, he said. You have to water them, you have to give them sunlight, you have to let them grow organically. This is where I realized that creative seeds were being planted every day in my life. And then it really hit me, as it's not always a straight line to the finish line. I was on the red brick road for a while, a few years actually. Meetings that seemed to lead to dead ends, a lot of intense learning lessons, and experiences that somehow all connected the dots. And creative seeds. Everyone I met had a message about my mission, and all of the creative sparks started to align as I was guided back to the yellow brick road. Even though there were days where I really wanted to give up, I would always get that creative spark where I had to move forward no matter what. I set out to find a tech co-founder. Searched high and low, didn't find one. I became one. I learned how to code on my own, because I had to figure out what these super high-tech visions were in my head. Still following the creative sparks every day, it's been a roller coaster ride with a lot of ups and downs, but I had to move forward no matter what. When I was little, I would play decoder games in my head, with numbers and letters. the creative seeds were planted again. We were brainstorming games to make. My inspiration was my childhood decoder game. Our beta testers love this game, by the way. The creative spark that was haunting me as I did research for the logo and colors for my vision was that we had to make a very bold statement. This was a process of connecting the dots and being very present. So I made a very impactful creative decision. So watch out for it, as black and gold is the new pink and purple. My last creative spark that I'll share with you today led me to this White House in DC. You might have heard of it. Then last January, I hosted the first hackathon for women and girls in LA called the White House Equal Futures Act Challenge in collaboration with the White House Council on Women and Girls. The creative sparks were really lining up now, and it became very clear that my mission is to empower women and girls with technology, gaming, and coding. In addition to being an advocate and ambassador, I also teach coding and entrepreneurship through after-school programs and summer camps. So now I ask you, what is your mission? But first, my 2 cents. Follow your creative sparks. Plant the seeds of your dreams. Be curious. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Learn how to code. Use Google. Go to the library. Use your imagination. Be passionate. Give back. You have the power. It's okay not to have the answers. Continue your journey and trust the process. Life is short. Do stuff that matters. And finally, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join me in this movement to empower women and girls with technology and gaming. Are you ready? Thank you.